Today we're going to go through the entire story of how Donald and Daisy met, from Daisy's first introduction to her modern first appearance to the moment Donald Duck saw her for the first time.
Whatever.
Hello fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson and I'm focused on spreading magic by discussing Disney. So if you are new here and you would like to discuss classic characters, Disney history, and DuckTales, then consider subscribing. Throughout DuckTales' current run, we have gotten Powerline references, confirmation of Max and Roxanne's relationship continuing after their summer romance, and details about the origin of the Rescue Rangers. And of course, if you like full breakdowns on any of those topics, let me know down below, because now that I'm done letting go of all my thoughts on Elsa, I have really been getting into DuckTales, probably to also help fill the void that I have from no longer getting new episodes of Tangled the series. But back to the topic at hand, one of the most fascinating moments for me was easily seeing Donald and Daisy's first encounter, even though Daisy was introduced decades before that moment. When Daisy was introduced to audiences in 1937, believe it or not, she didn't even have the name Daisy at the time. There's a little bit of debate whether this character, who was called Donna Duck, was an early version of Daisy or a completely different character, but according to the Encyclopedia of Animated Disney Shorts, the Big Cartoon Database, the Disney-produced DVD Best Pals, Donald and Daisy, and a Walt Disney Company collector's pin, this was her debut. But in a 1951 newspaper comic, they kind of go against that mentality, since Donna was portrayed as a completely separate duck than Daisy, which makes it seem like we shouldn't necessarily associate Donna's actions with Daisy's. In the short titled Don Donald, Donald travels to Mexico to court this love interest, and she is shown to have a lot of the feisty and impassioned behavior that he has, but she eventually leaves him behind in the desert when his car breaks down. Kind of a heartless thing to do there, Daisy. Or Donna. Either way, that intro may have been her first, but it definitely wasn't a great representation of who Daisy actually was, which is very similar to how Mickey was an aggressive love interest and Goofy was a despised individual in their first appearances. So for me, it seems like Don Donald showed us that Donald Duck was capable of having a love interest, and that Donna was the type of girl that he would be in love with for the rest of his life. Donna was just a representation of the type of girl Daisy would become, which is why this is considered to be Daisy's debut. In my mind, Donna was just showing us that Daisy was going to become one of the sassiest love interests to these classic Disney characters. But let me know though if you think Donna is or isn't Daisy, because it seems like a really ambiguous situation. Regardless though, it wasn't actually until June 7th, 1940 that the familiar voice, design, and name of Daisy finally appeared in the short Mr. Duck Steps Out. Here, Donald Duck enters Daisy's home on their first known date, but unfortunately for him, his nephews followed him there. Huey, Dewey, and Louie are then shown to compete for the attention of Daisy, which of course drives Donald wild, and before we get to ever see how they met, we are shown that Daisy is madly in love with him. From then on, Daisy appeared within Donald Duck's shorts throughout the 1940s and 50s, after being solidified as a recurring character in the Mickey Mouse short The Nifty 90s in 1941. And eventually, she even became the protagonist of the shorts Sleepy Time Donald and Donald's Dilemma in 1947. Daisy also appeared in comics, numerous TV shows like The House of Mouse, and has even been in theatrical releases like Fantasia 2000. And of course, let me know if you'd like a more thorough look at Daisy and Donald's relationship or her full story, because I did find out some drama that at one point she dated Donald's cousin, and I feel like that needs to be talked about more. Yes, the dirt on animated characters and admittedly real people is highly entertaining to me, but of course, gossip is bad no matter how interesting it is, and we need to be above that, except when it comes to animated characters, then it's fair game. All of that just to say that throughout the years, Daisy has become an extremely well-known character who is even a part of Disney's Sensational Six, which comprises of Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, Pluto, and of course, Daisy herself. But for the longest time, we had only ever known her and Donald to have a pre-existing relationship, until the release of the DuckTales episode titled Louie's 11. Now we weren't seeing Daisy's first encounter with Donald as a date, we were actually seeing them meeting. And this all began when the three caballeros were attempting to be noticed by the extremely popular Emma Glamour. In hopes of getting in front of her, Donald is assigned to get a stage pass from Glamour's assistant Daisy. And this is when we get to see them interact for the first time. To accomplish his part of Louie's plan, Donald follows Daisy into an elevator to steal the pass, though it doesn't go too well for him. He gets tangled in her bag and he lets it slip that he's hoping this will be his big break. But after they are untangled from the straps, she reveals that she had a similar dream to be discovered as well. And this is when he looks past his own ambitions and begins to see her beauty. Once they acknowledge that he contributed to possibly ruining her ability to show off her designer talents to glamour, they bond over their inability to be heard by the world.
Nobody listens to me either. They don't understand me.
Well, that's weird. I understand you perfectly.
With the realization that they may be trapped in that elevator for long into the night, Daisy asks to hear Donald sing, and with that request, a beautiful song pours out of him. While the world may have had their eardrums shattered by Donald's singing, for Daisy, his voice was perfect, and suddenly, decades of their relationship all seemed to flow back to this one moment. But while their bond had been established through this wonderfully hilarious and jaw-dropping song, it would be their anger, rage, and passion that would bring them on a path to become a team. After this turning point in their relationship that was beginning their bond, Donald and Daisy decide together to take action to escape the elevator and free the party from the goons who had crashed it, so that they could ensure that they were finally both heard. They knew they felt something between them, but now they were shown that they could work as a duo and conquer any obstacle that came their way. Even after saving the day and the influential woman still tried to shut down Daisy, Donald no longer feared what would happen if he didn't get his shot by speaking the truth. Donald stepped in to defend Daisy when she thought she couldn't.
Your fault! You...
Listen, Daisy didn't wreck your body. She saved it. So sit down.
Their relationship had affection for one another, a longing to protect one another, and a burning love that would make them risk everything for the other. We had seen them developing, sustaining, and building their bond as a couple for so long, even back in Daisy's first appearances in shorts. But suddenly, at that party, their origin story had finally been created. Before they would go off and experience the world as a couple, this was clearly the experience that would tie them together forever, now that their voices had finally been heard by each other. But let me know down below what you think of how Donald and Daisy met. Do you love this anthem Donald sings as much as I do? Also, make sure to subscribe and click the beautiful bell and then click on another magical video in the description or on the screen. Finally, as always, thanks for watching and have a magical day.